the challenge of the Ghost Riders. Current Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes finds himself in front of riders of the past, some from the very far past, riding on horses. He's surprised to see so many, but they tell him to focus on his task instead, beating the marrow out of King Blaze. They warn Robbie not to take this challenge too lightly, especially since Johnny Blaze has been in hell for long enough for it to mess with his mind. But Robbie isn't underestimating Blaze. His brother's life is on the line. It's more than just your brother's life at stake here, Reyes. Don't believe Blaze's lies. Blaze wins, you better believe he'll be the devil in every blasted way. At Avengers Mountain, Thor swings Mjolnir at Cosmic Ghost Rider Frank Castle, but he's not going down without a fight, especially since he's gone back in time to get here. Castle blasts an attack that makes Thor drop his weapon and cover his face. With a moment to think, Castle realizes he doesn't know why he's here and why he wanted to get rid of the Avengers. The last thing he knows is that he was in hell with that Blaze fella, pretending to be Mephisto. Hulk, Jen Walters, charges at Cosmic Ghost Rider without any hesitation. With a roar worthy of the Hulk family, she smashes Castle's head down into Mjolnir's handle, getting it stuck through his skeletal eye socket. There's no point in holding back if he was able to not only make it through to their mountain, but also put Thor out of commission temporarily. She knows her punches are filled with enough gamma to feel like a bomb, but the Cosmic Rider only groans at her, letting off a fiery blast to keep her back. Jen is no stranger to hellfire, seeing as Robbie is a coworker, but this is another kind altogether. With Hulk covering her face, one knee pinning him down, Thor returns to the fight. His aim is to collect his trusty hammer from inside Castle's skull. As Thor calls to Mjolnir, the Ghost Rider's head comes along, flying through the air of flame. He tries to get answers out of this uninvited guest, but Castle, mostly unintelligible with a weapon through both his eye and jaw, refuses and blasts Thor with the same hellfire that blew the Hulk back. That's enough to both dislodge the hammer and distract Thor, while the Ghost Rider's body, sans head, sends a left hook at Hulk. Thor leaps towards him, threatening to hammer Castle's insolent skull into dust. But Cosmic Ghost Rider isn't worried. Far from it. In fact, he knows he can do better. Cosmic Frank, as he calls himself, draws his skull to him, effortlessly knocking Hulk across the face with it. If that isn't enough, he tells them, "I could beat you both to death with my decapitated skull." With his head back on, Castle demands to know why he's here and accuses the two Avengers of working for Blaze. Thor insists they didn't bring him here, but that they'll gladly send him back to hell. Once Jen is ready to attack, Thor tells her, "'Tis time," and she grabs his shoulder tightly. The gamma green mixes with the God of Thunder's lightning in a flashy display of power. In Hulk's thoughts, she reveals that they've been working on this attack for weeks, but this is the first time they've tried mid-battle. A blast of gamma lightning bursts from Mjolnir as Thor's eyes take on the green of their combined powers. Cosmic Frank is sent flying through a wall, much like he did to Thor earlier. Annoyed with their blow against him that actually caused some damage, Frank decides, "No more Mr. Nice Mass Murderer. Now I'm gonna burn you all to oblivion." Slowly, he gets up, with pieces of the Iron Man suit around him. Hello! Another cosmic being joins the fight as Carol Danvers flies in from above Castle. The race rages on, with Robbie speeding down a winding hell road in his Hell Charger. There's a bunch of demons waiting for him down the path, having been threatened with retribution should they fail. Some of the demons feel that Robbie winning would change nothing for their fates, while another demon preferred when Mephisto was their boss. But Robbie isn't on his own. A past Ghost Rider, atop a woolly mammoth of all things, tramples in front of them to ensure the young rider makes it through. Not only is he dutifully helping Robbie, but he also happens to be the one who invented the rules for the challenge of the Ghost Riders. As the mammoth tramples and spews fire from his trunk, a tank next to it also fires at the demon group gathered among other vehicles. "Leave the roadkill to us, Reyes. You go on after Blaze. And don't take your foot off the gas, kid." The Ghost Rider, currently in charge of Hell, calmly drives ahead, reminiscing about his choice to sabotage Robbie and his brothers. He knows he doesn't deserve it, but at the same time, blame your Uncle Eli. Just then, Robbie comes speeding in from higher up, calling out to Blaze from the Hell Charger. Blaze can't believe what he's seeing. The younger rider crashes right into Blaze, telling him, "Kiss my Hell Charger goodbye." Deformed from the crash and angry with this turn of events, Blaze decides to stop playing nice. In his eyes, he was doing Robbie a favor by not letting him win, but that won't happen anymore. When Blaze says he's calling in the big guns, he's talking about some of the worst monsters he's ever sent to hell that are now under his control. Like a space giant who almost ended all life as we know it. And that is exactly what appears right in front of Robbie's car. Massive metal fist and mechanical red eyes, preparing to destroy him. This giant was originally Callus the Void, but it has since been possessed by Robbie's uncle Eli. Imagine the power of a god in the hands of your friendly neighborhood serial killer. T'Challa announces the good news that they've managed to take back control of Avengers Mountain after Cosmic Frank's little visit. Captain Marvel is the first to respond, battling against Castle with her photon beams, blasting him as much as she can. He informs her that Castle possesses the power of a Herald of Galactus, so she shouldn't fight him alone. But Cap Marvel doesn't want to hear none of that. She's pissed and raring for a good fight. "This is what I live for," as she continues to keep him at bay with the blast. It's evident how outmatched she is though, since Cosmic Frank is holding back her power with one hand, not even fully focused on their fight. He taunts her while he preps a weapon to use against her with his free hand. It turns out to be a gun that shoots out a blue ray of light, enhancing his powers. Immediately, Cap Marvel realizes Castle built it from the pieces of scrap he found in Iron Man's room. She dodges the shots, but the rest go towards Thor and Hulk still behind her. Castle wastes no time and makes some gestures that Danvers can't understand right away, until Cosmic Frank's bike drives right into her, knocking her aside. Armed with his weapon and motorcycle, Castle is all smiles, ready to give the Avengers a good fight. Captain America appears alongside T'Challa, worried that Cosmic Frank might be too much for them. But T'Challa insists that with the celestial energy he added to Cap's suits and his own, it should be no problem to just fight like usual. His simple plan makes Cap crack a smile, and the next thing T'Challa says is, "Avengers assemble," with them both glowing brightly as they strike Castle's flaming skull. Off to the side, Blade and Diamond Hellstrom watch the chaos between Cosmic Frank versus the Avengers. Hellstrom's irritation at the new and improved Ghost Rider that Mephisto created is clear, while Blade doesn't want to hear anything about this sort of fight. The hell part is fine, it's the whole space god powers that turn him off. From a corner of the room, Boy Thing launches tree roots and branches to ensnare Castle, which the Avengers see as their chance to lock him up. But what they forget is that plant life can't really fight against fire, especially not hellfire. Castle sets poor Boy Thing aflame, mocking their choice of combatants against him by calling the kid a houseplant. That's the moment when Blade changes his tune, saying that this fight, damn sure, is one that he needs to be part of. Cap is being held back by the throats, while Castle boasts that he's blown those guys' brains out too, referring to Celestials. But that doesn't stop Cap from aiming at his skull. A shot, seemingly from nowhere, hits Castle's bike, and he and Cap go flying across the room. More mad about the destruction to his bike than any damage his body might have sustained, the Cosmic Rider is already planning to kill Blade in the most ridiculously agonizing way in the storied history of dying. When he turns to confront Blade, he's shot through the shoulder with one of the only guns that could do that, the breathing gun. Blade confirms this when he says it's the kind of gun that puts holes in walking skeletons. The barrel of the gun smokes as Blade waits for Castle's next move. Impressed by the effective shots, Castle reveals that he kinda likes these Avengers, but he'd like them more if they weren't working with Blaze. Thor looks both confused and insulted, demanding who would think they were conspiring with the King of Hell. That's when Castle has a moment of realization, and even admits it's his bad for this whole mix-up. He rambles on about being in space and then dragged down to Hell, then dropped on Earth to kidnap Robbie for the Ghost Rider challenge. That's all the information Cap Marvel needs. They need to save Robbie in Hell, but how do they get there? Hellstrom is no help, and T'Challa has no idea either, since the afterlife is too vast to search without clues. Cosmic Frank volunteers to get them there, since he wants to pay Johnny Blaze back anyway. "I'll join your little Avengers team," he adds, but Cap really doesn't want him in it. Castle cuts him off, explaining that it's not just a fight. It's a challenge for the Ghost Riders specifically, which means they need to build something. A sweet-ass ride! Robbie stares ahead at the giant robot possessed by his uncle, orange smoke escaping his skeletal mouth. His uncle still insists he made a mistake by turning against him and not joining him in his sadism. But Robbie wants no part of it, speeding up a ramp to drive right through his uncle's body. Forget being the best Ghost Rider in history, he never wants to be one again after this. Eli, looking down at his nephew from the machine's eyes, tells him straight, "You want to win this race and your brother, you're gonna have to accept what you've become, what I helped make you." Crashing down, Eli admits that Robbie is a hell of a monster and blocks his way forward. Robbie stops his car and steps out, spurred on by the thought of his brother being in danger. He approaches the massive threat, with smoke encircling him. "I'll show you the last damn Ghost Rider you'll ever see," he warns. But his uncle just dismisses the threat and says he isn't the only one aware of how evil he can be. Robbie's parents stare with fright, holding each other as they take in their son's hellish transformation. His mother would begin, "God help us, what's happened to you?" And then his father continued, "What have you become, boy?" Robbie reaches out to them, shocked that they're both dead and in hell. When they confirm it's real, Eli aims to end with the robotic fist. But instead of striking Robbie, the car is what's crushed beneath Eli's hand. As Robbie screams, "No!" Blaze drives past him, offering to console him by sending his brother to hell next. Robbie holds his head in distress while his parents look on in complete fear. Eli tells Robbie he's a bad Ghost Rider and tries to smash him like he did the car. Robbie's parents panic, seeing their oldest son fighting such a massive being and possibly squashed beneath it. But Robbie holds the giant fist back with his body. Eli can't believe he's keeping him back, and Robbie explains that he doesn't care if he's the worst Ghost Rider in existence. What is there to compare? The other ones caused immense pain and suffering and ended in tragedy. He doesn't want to be a spirit of vengeance like them or Eli. With the power of the Ghost Rider, Robbie wraps his chains around the metal body, slicing the arm clean off. He's an Avenger, and he refuses to lose this race, damn it! Eli helpfully points out that he has no car to continue the challenge, but someone interrupts the conversation. Robbie looks over to see Cosmic Frank floating on his bike, and the Avengers on a flying ship with Carol Danvers at the helm. Thor is just flying thanks to Mjolnir's power. Danvers tells Robbie to get in so he can win. Blaze drives through a sea of demons, repeating to himself that he's made the right decision, that he's doing this the right way, that he's not Mephisto, and not a monster like him. "Get on your knees, you wretched sinners, or I'll penance stare every last one of you." When he tells them to bow before their god, that's Thor's cue to fly, with Blade along, to take Blaze out of the race. "You're not a god, Blaze," Blade reminds as he slices at the King of Hell, splitting his bike into pieces. Thor agrees that so many beings pretend to be gods when they aren't. Thor glows with lightning, gritting his teeth at Blaze. Fire is shot at the Thunder God, but it does little damage. Instead, Mjolnir is placed on Blaze's chest to keep him in place and out of the running. Blaze seeps through the ground though and escapes, taking his broken bike pieces with him since it's no problem for him to rebuild it. He's been building bikes since he was a kid. Blaze impressively creates a flaming hammer to combat Thor's, and a group of demons swarm them as they fight. T'Challa and Cap are confused with how much fighting is involved with this challenge, and Cap jokes that it's still nothing compared to the hell he experienced in World War II. Distracted, no one can stop Robbie from pulling ahead on the Avengers ship. He points out the different technologies used for it, including a Wakandan vibranium core engine and Stark Tech rockets. In awe of what his teammates did for him, Danvers points out that they'd all do it for each other. At the back, Hulk uses her power to make them take even more of a lead through some gamma power. The ship zooms overhead, and Blaze wonders where Eli and the giant corpse he possessed is. Cosmic Frank is carrying it with him, having given him a penance stare, and plans to use it on Blaze next. Castle chucks the head backwards, introducing himself as Frank, with the next step being to kill Blaze. Disappointed with Castle's uselessness, Blaze insults him by bringing up his deceased family from long ago. Next, he sends demons after Castle to keep him away and uses others to float above and towards his goal. More demons go after the Avengers' flying ship, and Blaze calls for his minions to sacrifice themselves and do whatever it takes. With their ship overrun and stalled, Robbie chooses to fight like a Ghost Rider, embracing his fiery power, while Hulk and Cap Marvel push back the demons surrounding them. Blaze can see the throne, the finish line that is. Excitedly, he celebrates his victory in the next step, which involves coming after Mephisto. But Robbie uses the flying ship to crash right through it and demolish it. Robbie leaps out, with Blaze pissed at what he just did to their chance at more power. Robbie stands proud regardless. He beats Blaze back, the Avengers standing fiercely behind him but not getting involved. Robbie explains that family is what's most important, even for a Ghost Rider. But after knocking Blaze down, he offers him a hand up and tells him, "You seem like you could sure use a family." Blaze appreciates the sentiments and the action, but it doesn't change the situation. Either way, Robbie rejects the throne, even if it's his to take. T'Challa suggests that Blaze should come back with them and let go of being King of Hell. And with Robbie rejecting his prize, that leaves Blaze with no power and still in hell with the damned he mistreated. Confronting Robbie, Blaze warns that he won't have anyone but himself to blame if he turns into the big bad boogeyman again from here on. But Cosmic Frank wants some revenge and barges into their conversation with, "Time to die, Johnny Blaze." Unbothered, Blaze tells him, "Maybe someday." Blaze gets pulled underground by demon hands, and Frank loses his chance again. Later, Thor's carrying the Hell Charger that he found while looking for Blaze. Danvers wonders if Robbie would still want it, considering the danger it brought, whereas T'Challa plans to ask Hellstrom to verify if the evil influence of his uncle's spirit is really gone. Robbie talks to his parents with his regular self, wanting so many questions answered. He embraces them before they leave with all the past Ghost Riders. What's important for Robbie is, "I know who I am now," and he gets into his car, accepting both sides of himself. Back among the living, Robbie's driving down a long strip of road with his brother Gabe, giving him the day off from school. His brother is confused that he's keeping the same job, but Robbie's thinking he's starting to fit in there. He likes the freedom it offers. As they enjoy the ride, Cosmic Frank is tired of Earth and leaves it for somewhere among the stars instead. The people in space are more fun to kill, with less Ghost Riders to mingle with. Not to mention, Earth smells way too much like Mephisto. Mephisto has caused many problems in the past. Check out when he bought Spider-Man's soul.